What's happening? What's
All
happening?
right.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, you've been MIA. We've been holding it down. So, what's up, Kennedy?
Hey, everybody. It's good to see you,
Leslie?
Mr. Peters. You've been real MIA.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, look,
What's up,
look.
Auntie Alois? What's happening?
I tried to join from the road, but just because I wasn't on live, I was watching.
Thank you. Thank you
And
for the
you guys
birthday
did a
shout out.
phenomenal job. I got 2 words for you. I'm just gonna kick it off and start the controversy right off the top.
Okay.
How's that for
Okay.
coming back? How's that for coming back strong? Here
All
we
right,
go.
come on with it. Come on with it.
Governor who?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah,
No,
that's
he's talking about.
I'm quoting the president. Governor who?
He's talking about Cuomo and his issues. But before you dive off into the deep end of the pool on that,
Yep.
because I think that cake is about baked. I think before you dive off into that, let's talk about COVID, Delta variant.
Well, here's what I want to talk about, and let's talk about it, because in some ways, my question is this deja vu? Are we, what's going on, man? I will tell you, it's sad. The saddest thing about it all, and we got to deal with it now, is that we could have been so much ahead of this if we just all come together and taking the precautions, taking the vaccines, done what we need to do. So now we're dealing with the Delta variant, and then there's Lambda. I mean, in a minute, we're going to go through the Greek alphabet. The reality is, it all stems, if you look at the origination point, we have never come together on one accord to do the right thing, which is to protect each other. That's really what it's about. Protect each other. And when I think about America and what we claim to be the principles and the cornerstones that we stake our democracy on, we have fallen flat. We have fallen short of the responsibilities of being Americans, in my opinion. Because when we look at the principles that we're supposed to hold ourselves up to, and then when we look at our actions, they are so far apart that they might be equal only to the wealth gap in America. That's how far apart they are. And so it's time that we're going to have to put up a shut up.
What do we have? So here, just so everybody's so everyone is clear, what are we putting up and what are we shutting up?
So I think what we have to do, there was a quote that somebody said, and I wish I knew the name, I would give them credit, but it went I'm gonna paraphrase it, but it said, you don't want to social distance, you don't want to wear your mask, you don't want to take the vaccines, and you don't want COVID. Some got to give. So you can't not everything. There's something you got to say yes to. And so when I say put up or shut up, either we are truly going to do and fulfill our responsibilities of being American and taking care of each other and doing the right thing for all of us holistically, or we going to shut the heck up and call ourselves something else and not call ourselves American based on the principles of America. Because it can't be the principles of America for this and then not the principles of America for this. It's the principles of America, period. And so what I'm saying shut up to is the people that are not willing to take any action but want to complain about it. Shut up or take some action. If you're not taking action, shut up. That's really where I am on it.
Well, I mean, I'm with you on that, brother. I'm not the enemy here. I just wanted you to be clear so that they would know exactly what you want them to put up. I mean, either go get the vaccine, social distance, lock yourself in the house, whatever it is you want to do, or join the rest of society as we try to move past this stuff. But you got to do something. You can't just sit on the sideline and complain. And the complaints are facetious. Kenny and I spent almost a whole show talking about last week how we all used vaccinations to get through public school.
Right.
And if you want to call it a passport or a 121, whatever you want to call it, it's a piece of paper that says, I have been vaccinated.
Right. Right.
I mean, okay, you did what's good enough in school. So what new rights have you gained in 2021 that negate that?
Well, I think you heard when I chimed in last week, I just kind of said we all remember chicken pox when we grew up, but you don't hear about it today. And why don't you hear about it today? It's because of the vaccine. Right. We have laws in our states that require us as adults to send our kids to school, or we're held accountable. In order to send your kids to school, they're going to have to take those immunization shots.
Right.
Exactly.
Now, this is a clue. We're looking at COVID, which is a clear life or death matter. It doesn't discriminate. It don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, black, white, green, blue, yellow, for the vaccines, against the vaccine. It still kill you. It doesn't care. So now we're in a situation that's life or death, and the very people that upheld that are saying, well, we can't do that. We do it every day. We do it every day. And the only way we eradicated chickenpox was due to the vaccine, and the only way we eradicate this is due to us all coming together to take the vaccine. And I think if we look back, we know how we got here. And we got here, and this is what happens when you politicize a humanity issue. This is an issue of humanity. You heard me say it over and over again. This is an issue of humanity that has been politicized for capital gain for individuals. And once you politicize something, you draw a line and you force people to stand on the side of it. This is not a political issue. This is life or death. This is humanity. And let's look at it like that. Just my view.
I agree. And I will say, in recent news, even though the cases have been rising, recently this past day, they just reported that over half of the U.S. population is being vaccinated. So I see that some people are, I wouldn't say it's too late, but people are really starting to realize the importance of the vaccination for once. So I will appreciate that, I guess.
Well, here's the thing. I'm glad we're making some strides. But Kennedy, we have to be even more urgent. And guess what, guys? We're going to talk about COVID on this show every single day because apparently enough of us didn't get the memo and it's that important. So we're going to keep talking about it because here's the reality. Charles came to me, and I can talk from this because I was once a fool too. So let me just put my own disclaimer out there, right? Let me just put my own vulnerabilities out there. But we all got to wake up at some point. Charles came to me at least 6 to 8 months before the pandemic even hit the U.S. He said, look, man, this is coming. We need to prepare for it. Let's get all our cleaning supplies. Let's create protocol for employees. Let's think about the worst case scenario. Now, as the one that spearheads and leads operations, it's my charge to take that and run with it, coming from the managing partner, right? I failed. I got a flat F because I said, oh, man, it ain't going to be that bad. It's not that much to it. I mean, I do agree we need to do something, but, man, you got to scare everybody. Oh, well, let me just publicly say I could not have been more incorrect. And I apologize to him for that. But at some point, I had to man up and say, all right, we got a problem. Here's what we're going to do. Let's get busy with it, right? In America, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm calling us all out now. Okay, you had your 5 minutes of fame. You now know it's real. Now let's do something about it.
I agree. I really think too. Also, this, because I know a lot of schools, elementary, middle schools, and even some high schools are going back to school. And I think a lot of people are starting to realize the importance of the vaccine and wearing your mask and social distancing. Because I just found out from some of my advisors from back at JSU how certain schools in Mississippi just started and now they're shutting down because of outbreaks. Because they're not taking it seriously because the governor won't put the mask mandate back into play. And it's sad, but it's like you have to, it's like we're taking step backs in certain states, I would say. So hopefully people are starting to take it more seriously though.
Well, and Kennedy, one of the dynamic, and I'll kick it to Charles, but the other saddest part about this is that now we have a Delta variant that is so much different than what we had before in the Alpha variant. This variant is killing kids. This variant is killing kids that are not old enough to get the vaccine. We have a responsibility as those that are old enough to protect our kids. And the reality is, as a parent, I'm scared to death right now because I am limited in how much I can protect my child because I got to depend on you to do certain things as we send them back into school. And you're not doing it.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's kind of where I'm at right now, is that fine, you don't want to do it. You have your own mystical magic pixie dust reasons for not wanting to do it because the science says you should. But when you look at your children, how do you explain to them that I'm putting you in harm's way? How do you explain that?
Exactly.
So
I got a better one for you. How do you explain to your child when they straight up ask you and call you out on it? Well, Dad, Mom, why can't they make everyone wear a mask? Why can't they make everyone get vaccinated so we're safe?
Yeah. Because they don't understand it because we've taught them right and wrong. And now they see us saying, they see the example from the adults that we can't even agree on what's right.
Right.
True.
I mean, look, it's no secret that public education and our education system took a huge hit. Our learning and our kids took a huge hit this past year. A lot of them, right? Because not everybody has the infrastructure at home. And even the ones that do, I'll be honest with you, I'm good at what I do, but I'm not a junior high teacher.
Right, right.
Yeah, it's different. It's different, but guess what? We had the same conversation almost 360 days ago.
Yep.
Come on, it's almost football season. You put football season in jeopardy. For those people in the South, that should be enough. That's like putting deer hunt season in jeopardy. Don't do it.
Don't
you can't think about if the livelihood of your kid is not enough. Come on, you're gonna stop them from running the rock.
And that's big, right? That's big because even if you don't care about sports, let's just look at the economic value of sports and what that represents. And I know in the South we love our football, so we put a whole lot at jeopardy. That this time last year we didn't have a choice. We didn't.
Now we have a choice.
This year we do have a choice.
Yeah,
and we just chosen not to take it. And so I go back to the words of the great person that put that post up on social media. You have choices, right? So I'm not mandating to say you must get the vaccine, but watch this. You got choices. you can wear a mask. You can socially distance. As Charles said, you can lock stuff in your house, right? Or you can take the vaccine. But you got to do something. Doing nothing is not an option. And that's the frustrating part. I mean, our parents can all think about times where seatbelts was not the law. But right. Guess what? From every point that I started driving, seatbelts was the law. And you had to do it.
Right.
Now they give you a ticket for it. So we change all the time and we adapt. So how is this any different? Seatbelts was proven that they save lives. This vaccine has been proven that it saves lives. How is it any different?
Bro, what this reminds me of, and this is extreme, but you will remember this. Y2K. The world going in at midnight on what?
2000.
Yeah. Now everybody geared themselves up for that. You don't know where they came from.
Here's the funny part about it, Charles. I had never bought into that. Because
Me
I,
either.
I say, can you give me the logic of that? Because I want to
Me
see the
either.
logic of it.
Uh,
Where's the logic? They couldn't give it to me.
but you know what I kept saying? Prince has got a song for this. We're gonna party like it's 1999. I mean,
Right, right,
outside of that, my argument was just as strong as theirs. They don't know where that came from. Just like
right.
they don't know where the science came from on anti-vax.
Exactly.
It's interesting. Here's the interesting thing. I was having this discussion of that. I said, look, if it's hot and it gets hot in the south, and if we find a water fountain with cold water, we're going to drink that water, not even question and ask not one single question about the filtration system, how that water is filtered, where
Right.
that water is piped from. We don't care about any of that. We're going to drink that water with the unconscious, non-biased effort.
Yeah, all you want to do is hydrate.
Now we got the same scenario where all we want to do is live, and we can't do the same thing. We can't. So it doesn't have logic. And when you hear some of the logic, and I'm calling everybody out, because look, it's not just this thing is so to the point. I want to be clear. It's not just white America, not just black America. We got people in every race that's not taking a shot, that are not making the choice to do something to be safe, and it's putting us all at risk. So that's why I say it's an issue of humanity, because it takes us all, and we have guilty parties all across the spectrum, and that's frustrating
Check this out.
because
Check this out, because I want to get an opinion from both of you.
okay,
A year later, should people understand the health and human toll, but not also should they also understand the economic toll? You were talking about football. It's not just that you lose football season, but all the restaurants lose that revenue. All the gas stations lose that revenue. All the shops that sell pom poms and stadium seats all lose that revenue. We haven't figured out these opportunity costs yet. While we still talking about whether or not you should take the vaccine or not, and then we don't understand the educational value cost. You just stated that some families can't don't have the wherewithal. So we right back in the same spot where they're gonna have to close schools because this variant is 9 times more potent than
The
the
other.
original.
yes,
So we don't understand that yet. We spent a year inside. What were we doing?
It's sad. It's almost comical though, just because it's just people are just they just don't pay attention. They don't understand, especially with the opportunity cost. You have to break it down to the most simplest terms. The football teams lose revenues. Those restaurants lose revenue. Uh, the suppliers that supply the restaurants with their ingredients lose revenue. It's a huge cycle. Even with the jobs, you can tell unemployment went down. I mean, went up. So it's sad, but people are going to do what they want to do. All you can really do is educate and inform. That's the only way. And mm,
hmm.
Rugged individuals and warring factions. So, Robert, in follow up to this, I have a question for you from the audience. America is founded on the principle of rugged individualism. So, are you suggesting that we've come full circle, or are we missing something in that word community? Talk to us from your perspective on what that community should look like, feel like, act like, real fast, if you don't mind.
yes, please put it in the chat.
Yeah, and and as he responds, and definitely, Robert, good point. It alludes back. We can't have a sense of community as a nation if we lose our sense of humanity.
Yeah.
Community is a byproduct of humanity. If we don't have humanity, we can't have any extension of it. Therefore, it's kind of like um, I have never. I'll give you an example. Now, this is gonna sound hilarious, but watch this. Dude. I have never ever run into a person that had nothing to eat, couldn't eat nothing, that had a weight problem. Now, watch me with the analogy. I have never run into a person that had knowledge and applied that knowledge that didn't have some type of results they could look to. What I have run into every single day of my life is people who have let apathy rob them of their sense of humanity and their sense of achievement and their sense of purpose. So
Here's where I'm gonna challenge you at though, Liz. You know I gotta come at you.
I know you. All right, so let me finish the point before you come.
All right,
I know
well,
where
come
you're
on,
coming.
come on with it.
I
Come
know
on
where
with
you're
it.
coming. I know where you're coming. That's why I'm just setting it up so you can just come on because I know you're coming.
Yeah.
The other point to that is if you, and so the reason why I challenge you on apathy is because when you are apathetic, then you have a lot of people that say, I'm on the fence, I'm still thinking about it. I just want to leave you with this. Non-action is an action. Non-action is not doing nothing is an action. You choose to do nothing. It's not, you don't have infinite amount of time. Eventually the clock says 000.
All right. So you answered part of it, but I'm still gonna back up to the apathy. And I your point is well taken on the no action is action. And don't you think in so I'll rephrase mine. Don't you think in this current situation where we have lives lost, economic bedlam, um, prices going through the roof, don't you think that non-action is actually malicious at this point?
For a certain group of the population, it is. And then for the larger percentage of that group, it is totally malicious. But there are other parts of that population um, that is not.
Okay.
I would say it's just flat out ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
um, but yeah, so militia is only the one targeted group that is politically charged, but to the ones that are not politically charged, it's just simply pure ignorance.
Yeah. All right. So that brings us back to Robert and his point, which is I'm glad that's why I asked him to expand upon it because the myth of rugged individualism. You need more than self in 99.9% of instances to get somewhere. And in this instance, we need about 40% of people to act right. And so that is the community, good or bad. Color doesn't matter, education level doesn't matter. Everybody's going to suffer to a certain extent. Unless you own something in the supply chain, like Amazon, where it's going to keep on ticking and they're making record profits, you on the user consumer end are going to suffer from your inaction, from your apathy, as Leslie said, and from your lack of community, as Robert stated. If you don't get this right, you're gonna lose loved ones. You're gonna be stuck in the house again. You know.
Folks are
Great point, Bird. I couldn't
Word,
have said it better.
word. You
yeah,
said a
you
mouthful. You said a mouthful. I've often said, hey, Liz, you've heard me say this.
people just be pippling.
Yeah. You've often heard me say this. Don't ask me about pro-choice, pro-life arguments because the people that talk about pro-life, they're not worried about the rest of your life. They're only worried about before you come out the womb.
Right.
Very
Well,
true.
it's again. Sometimes I just struggle to find the logic of our. Here's the thing I learned a long time ago. I can have a conversation, intelligent conversation with anyone, regardless of their views. If they have logic, they base it because either I'm gonna learn something, I might not agree with it, but I'm gonna learn something I can appreciate it. I have a hard time, Charles. Kennedy, I have a hard time when a person has no logic and can't point to anything and it's simple hypothetical myths that they can't prove, disprove, or even give me an origin source. I struggle with those people.
Yeah.
Robert is with some great responses.
Robert he's dropping dimes today.
Right.
Yeah, he's dropping his dime.
Robert, we got to see you next Friday.
Yeah, I see it.
You know, Charles, we're gonna have to make a trip to Kansas.
Yeah, because we're not in Kansas anymore right now with this virus.
But that's true.
But he's busting the myth. We had to give him his own segment on the show called Mythbusters because he's putting a wrecking ball to it, and rightfully so. I mean, what he's saying is
let me put it back up there.
It's beautiful. Oh, Robert, do me one favor. For the people that we know Robert, he's family. But for the people that might want to have another voice of reason and rationale, Robert, put up your contact information where they can see your podcast, so that they can look in on you and support you.
Exactly.
Because he's always dropping gems.
Always. And he always has great panels that I listen to and gain a lot of insight from.
Yeah. You definitely had to look up the word. I feel bad, but I had to look up some of the stuff you was talking about. But I would definitely I would love to listen to your podcast, Robert.
Look, I say this to say this. Robert is in, he's had the pleasure of living in different places, but he's in a place now that is a lot like Mississippi, but even more so. And so there was a saying, what they said about the Wizard of Oz, I forget it, but I had a kid tell me once at I was running Boys and Girls Club, and I was like, well, you got to go to Kansas. And the kid said, even Dorothy was trying to get out of Kansas. So I never forgot that. But Ignite Wednesday, 7 p.m. Yeah, all right.
And he said he wants to interview us, so I'm available.
We'll definitely do that.
Where can they watch Ignite, Robert?
Yes, let us know. I'm available.
Yeah,
let us know.
Give us the location of where we can send them to watch Ignite.
Yeah, no doubt.
But now, since I'm glad we're gonna keep on updating the audience about COVID. I do want to switch it to a lighter note.
Before you do though, okay, I'm not letting them off the hook yet because there ain't nothing light about this. Because this is look, this is the impact, and I have finally gotten to the level where Charles was a long time ago, and I really regret, my dear friend, that I did not see this when you saw it.
I'm fanning Lou Hamer at this point.
But we have just most recent total since COVID started, 35.6 million cases of the virus in the U.S., 616,000 souls lost. And you telling me that you don't want to do anything? You don't want to wear a mask, you don't want to social distance, you don't want to stay home, you don't want to take the vaccine? Say that 616,000 times and see if you still feel the same way.
Look at it this way too, Liz. Look at it this way. As that number continues to climb, which we talked about this a year ago, as that number continues to climb, it's more likely than not that you're going to begin to know people that are in that 616,000 number. Yeah. Those people are going to become your coworkers, your friends, your family. Is that what you really want?
Right.
For politics' sake? Because one thing about it, so, okay, I was getting ready to let this go. But your politics around COVID is not going to matter a hill of beans to Joe Biden, because Joe Biden has got the naval, he's got the best medical facilities in the world. We already been through this. You should have learned. That's what I'm saying about opportunity cost. You should have learned from this. Okay, you had former President Trump who said it's not real, it's fake. But guess what? When he got it, he ran to the best. He ran to Bethesda. Not only he didn't run. I take that back. He didn't run because he can't run that far. He got on a helicopter and he didn't tell y'all. He was gone to get him some remdesivir, whatever the stuff is that he said didn't work. And then he started making infomercials about how well it works. You don't have those resources.
No.
You're not making a point to Joe Biden to oppose his policy. You're hurting your family. You're hurting your friends. You're hurting your coworkers. You're hurting your community. Stop it.
Stop it.
Listen.
Till now, there's a nurse for you. She's telling you he had the best care. On the other hand, you may end up in a situation where you need to go to the emergency room and they're going to tell you to get on Zoom because the emergency room is already full. Exactly. Do you really want to play with your life like that?
Right. Like, you don't have a private, your doctor's personal phone is going to come see you and you got private care. No, you don't have that. You don't have a walk out and you get on your helicopter pad and then it drops you right into the facility. And you ain't got to fill out not one form or no way. You don't have that. None of us have that. So the reality of it is,
some of y'all don't have health insurance.
Right.
Some of y'all don't have health insurance.
You're already living on a hope and a prayer. So my hope and my prayer is that you go ahead and get that free vaccine.
Right. Right.
Instead of buying a $500 fake vaccine card.
Right.
Don't make.
What's the premise of that? When you said that the last time, I kind of talked to you about it, but I've been thinking about it. If somebody is refusing to give you their vaccine, you already know what time it is.
Right. Right. You already know.
I mean, okay, so let's look at it from this angle, because Kennedy, you in the Capitol. President has already said he about to make it mandatory that you get tested. What you hit on that last week, you laid it out. Or you get the vaccine. They're going to test you until you get the vaccine, or you're going to test.
Right.
Shouldn't we have more of that? Not less. We need more of that.
I feel like we could. Oh, well, go ahead, Mr. Peters. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to, I'm going to let you answer that, and then I have a question for Charles. So you go ahead, Kenny.
I mean, we should have more of that, but my thing is, if we do have more, are people going to take the initiative to do it? That's the real.
No. This is not. I'm not talking about the initiative, the volunteer. I'm talking about at this point, just like we talked about with the NFL, your game check.
Oh yeah, it needs to be. It's either this or that, but it needs to be like that in all places, in all establishments. Either you get the vaccine or you just not going to work. And you're not going to get a lot from unemployment because they're already trying to shut it down, but they're trying to decrease how much they give. So it's either you get it, either put up or shut up, like Mr. Peters said. So
y'all making me change glasses. It's so heated. It's so cool. Let me change it because
ladies. The good news is you look fashionable. You look fashionable. But you are not Clark Kent, so let's go ahead.
Well, what I'm saying though, we got people out here acting like they Clark Kent, telling me my immune system is going to save me.
Word.
It's frustrating, but I'll say, here's my question to you, Charles. So we've seen in recent weeks a lot of private sector employers saying, we're not having it. We mandate it. You want to check, you want to work, you're going to have to do this. We are in that sector as private sector employers. Now, fortunately, what I can say for us, we never even had it. Now, we're not afraid to go there. We never had to go there because everybody that works with us, we're on the first bandwagon to get.
Yeah.
So we were very fortunate. That just means we have people that think rationally, in my opinion. But we haven't talked about it. We haven't discussed it, but I'm just going to throw it out there to you. As a private employee and as the managing director of this firm, if I came to you and said, hey, man, we need to make this policy for anybody that comes on board since then, what's your stance?
Do it.
He just said like we talked about it in our last show, the NFL checks. He was like,
you got to, at a certain point, we're being counterproductive because, okay, we're going to end up in another shutdown for what?
Right.
It was a lot we didn't understand. Now, I'm not letting Trump off the hook when I say this, but it was a lot we didn't understand about the speed and the force and velocity with which COVID traveled with. You knew I was afraid of it because I'm always reading this type of stuff, and I'm like, okay, it's gonna take off. But it's still a lot of stuff. The science has adjusted. We went for a while. If you have vaccines, you don't need a mask. We went with, okay, you need 6 feet, 12 feet, social distancing. The science is going to adjust. But right now, the people are not adjusting with the science. Because the science is telling us, the scientists are going on TV screaming at the top of their lungs, if you don't get it together, September, October, November are going to be terrible. I don't hear the word terrible. I hear death. I hear loss, economics in these communities that are already struggling. I'm looking at businesses that you wouldn't even connect to football season that are almost out of business. Their doors are almost closed because there was no football season last year. And those business owners deserve the opportunity to make their bread.
Exactly.
Look, I
But they
mean,
can't because it's a few people. I know they're not here, but there are a few people who keep talking about we violating their privacy right by wanting to look at what. Man, come on. We're not following you home. We don't care what you do over there. We care what you do when you come out here.
right,
Because this is where we are.
right,
Don't come over here if you hadn't done what you're supposed to do.
right.
I agree.
And that's been the message. So I told, look, I'll tell you a question I asked a dear friend, and Charles and I know this dear friend I have in New Orleans real well, and we were laughing at each other when I asked, but I said, hey man, we were in New Orleans, and the numbers were soaring there, and the mayor came out and mandated mask policy. But I called him. I said, hey man, I'd love to see. I hadn't seen him in a long time, and the first question I said, but have you been vaccinated? And we asked each other that at the same time, almost identically. Because we're like, oh, but have you been vaccinated? We were both saying the same thing. We just started laughing. Of course we have. But that's a question that now, when people say, hey, I'd like to meet, we can do this. My first question is, have you been vaccinated? Because if you haven't been vaccinated, we can't meet. We can meet on video conference. But
Yeah.
and people get offended by it, but so what? Because guess what? I'm going to make the choice for my family and for my friends and my love. I'm going to make that choice for humanity. You are making a choice counterproductive to humanity.
Yeah.
You playing Russian roulette. I'm not going to play
Selfish
Russian
choice. It's a selfish choice. That's what it is.
So that's to loved ones, that's to family. And let me tell you, if anybody who knows my folks, particularly my mother, if my folks can get vaccinated,
so can you. So can you.
Everybody can get it.
Break that down, Liz. And I'm not saying put your mama business out in the street. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is there are people who have good reason to be afraid of a vaccine.
Right.
But in this instance, in this hour, knowing the history, knowing all of that, she still said, give me my shot.
Right. And that's logic.
That's what we need to be.
That's what I mean. That's logic. That's putting humanity over self. That's using logic. And she was able to say, hey, any other time would have been opposed. Let's say, hey, let me, because I'll never forget her response to me, how dare. I would not be able to live if I brought something to you or to our grandchild. See, humanity over self. Yeah. And that's what it's about. And so I don't understand the no action. I really don't. I really am struggling.
But it is. It's worse than no action. Because people are dying as a result of you not doing this one thing.
Mm-hmm. So Charles, let me ask you this one. The NBA has done a better job of it. The NFL is getting there, but how do you feel, and this is to the audience too, anybody that's ever played sports, how would you feel if you were playing an organized team, there was not a mandate, but 95% of the team got the vaccination, but a few players didn't. But you got to go and work with them every day.
Well,
how would you feel about that?
Here's my answer to that. Because Kennedy and I have been talking about this back and forth for about this will be the third week. I'm with Roger Goodell. Okay, you don't have to take it. Fine.
But you don't play.
I'll take it. But now, if your team gets sick because you didn't take it, that's a loss. And don't look for your game check because now you put the rest of the league in peril. Don't look for it.
You're not getting it.
Yeah, you're not getting it. You do what you want to do. You don't have to take it. You don't have to take it.
And in certain instances, you can lose 2 game checks or more because if you forfeit that one game can cost you the playoffs. So that can cost you an even bigger check and more checks to come.
Right. So since Goodell said that, tell him Kennedy know Kennedy is going to be she's going to be shy with these spoils because we've been working it out. Look, one of the coaches said he wasn't going to do it. Guess what the team said? Right. Hey, we'll see you. Yeah, we know. Okay, you don't want to take it, go home. Because over here we're trying to work. We're trying to win a championship.
Right.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. The NBA did something unprecedented when they said, okay, all players, no family, and a couple cooks. Let's go to the bubble. If you want to report on it, you got to stay in the bubble like everybody else. And you see Lou Williams do his own thing. Lou said, I got to go to Magic City to get some chicken wings. I don't know about that.
I don't know about that one, man. Look, I'm sure they had some chicken wings. You should have got them delivered in to the gate or something, man.
Yeah.
But
pick up. He had pick up. You know, he go pick up.
Yeah. Kennedy, I'll let you switch gears. I know you've been trying to get us off this topic. I'll let you switch gears.
No, you good. I just really wanted to bring.
Before we go though, you see that? Do you see that comment that Till put up? That's not force. That's providing options.
And it's not.
That's all we saying. Now you go and do what you want to do, but if it starts affecting everybody around you, if it starts affecting the bottom line, we're gonna deal with you on the paper end. You start taking some people's paper routes and see what happens.
That's when they're gonna have a plus.
And listen, let me just put this on. Speaking of that coach was
Minnesota Vikings coach
Rick Dennison of the Minnesota Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
He was assistant coach, offensive line coach, and run game coordinator. And after he refused to take the COVID-19 vaccine, they sent him packing.
No, he's a run game coordinator. They ran him out of town. Yeah.
They did.
Right.
They did. They really did too.
And now he won't get another job because within the NFL because you have to take that vaccine.
Right.
And guess what? Even the New England Patriots co-offensive line coach Dale Popovich, they sent him on too.
They not playing. And they shouldn't though, because when I'm gonna end it on this, but when you see the economic loss for the NFL, how much they lost, that impact, they're not playing. They want their money back. That's why I tell my friends all the time, like, as much as people try to say it's a shutdown, it won't happen, especially in a lot of these states. I said it will not happen. They're not even putting up the mask mandate. So it's either you do this or you do that. But certain businesses will allow you to lose your money. So it's up to you.
I want to bring up something. I watched this, and I don't know if you're up to speed. It's going to shift us into education, secondary education, and COVID, and the governor's decisions in key states. And so the governor of Arkansas, Asa Hutchinson, had made that same silly mask mandate that the governor of Mississippi made. Of course, the governor of Texas is still holding strong to that foolishness. But he came out and he made a correction. He called back in a special section to see if he could reverse it. And what they've ultimately done there is for schools, it's up to the individual school district to make their own policies around COVID. If they want to make a mask mandate, they can. He's put the decision back in the district's hand so that the people that get paid to do it in their communities can do it. And it's logic. And here's what I mean when I say when you got logic, I can hear you. Even if I don't agree, I can hear you. His logic was, if I'm in a rural because Arkansas is a rural state. So if I'm in a rural area where I got one case and 3 cases, and I hadn't had any since we taken the vaccine, and I got nearly 80 or 90% of my time vaccinated, I don't have to do that. I might not need to do such extreme measures. But now watch this. Here's the reality. That came at the pressure because school districts wanted to be able to mandate mask wearing. They wanted to be able to mandate some testing and things around safety and protocol because nobody wants to get shut down.
Nobody. Now, he apologized too. I think he said at the press conference, he said that was a bad mistake. Basically, he said,
"Yeah." I hear both of y'all. Y'all.
Now, that's politics talk. I know what's
politics.
Politics talk.
Y'all playing that little tiny violin for Asa Hutchins. Y'all gonna can that because Asa Hutchins didn't get apologetic until Sarah Huckabee Sanders started talking about you should probably do this.
Yes.
He's running for governor. That's politics. That's political pressure. That's called survival.
Yeah.
He wasn't worried about the rural community when he put that foolishness in place.
No.
He wasn't.
Now, I ain't never said the empathy or the passion. I just said he came out and changed it. Now,
but I want you to give the whole story to our listeners because our listeners are looking for something more than just talking here. They want to know why is the vanilla fruit punch?
Okay, fair enough. So I translate that what I call what's in it for him to come and change his mind. Okay, so what's in it for him?
Yeah, when you put it that way, yes.
Yeah. He got pressure from his money source.
Yeah,
he got pressure from the power base, and I don't care where you got to get the pressure from, as long as it gets you to make a decision that makes sense. I'll take it. And I'll deal with
need some of those make sense because we need some of those make sense decisions in Mississippi and Texas.
Yes.
Especially in Texas.
I think Texas governor double down on foolishness. I don't
Florida because
Florida not stopping. He not stopping. He want his money back. So Rolling Loud, prime example. He's not stopping. And that right there increased all the cases. Even some artists were saying, I tested positive for COVID. If you've been around me, please go get tested. You performed in front of thousands and thousands of people. And the real question is why are these festivals still being scheduled? Who scheduled these festivals? And it's the money. People are trying to make their money back.
De Niro, they want their money.
From Florida to Lollapalooza in Chicago. It's a festival in Las Vegas. All of that. Why are these festivals even scheduled? But that's what it is.
Charles, let me ask you this because this is a question. I've seen it out there before. I'm gonna pig it back to you since our people want to know what are you thinking and what do you think? Because a lot of people now are wondering, right, about football season because it brings us all in jeopardy. Because people we got in less than 30 days, we got Orange Blossom Classic. Just looking at HBCU and JSU specifically. What is some insight? Where can you give the people some things to think through and think about? As we all have to make some decisions.
I'll give you my menu because Kennedy and I started this discussion, and like most things, for those of you who don't know, Kennedy is a very bright young lady. She's going to go very far in life, but she brings up thought-provoking questions.
Kennedy, you're learning well after me. I always do that.
So we started having a conversation about SWAC football, and we actually had a SWAC football player on the show last week.
Yeah, Deontay Graham or something.
Yeah,
he was on the show.
We were able to look at it from Kennedy's student perspective, from my perspective. But the one thing that we didn't talk about, and I'm glad both of you are here, and then we circle back to it, is the parent perspective. Because I was supposed to take my boys to the game, and now I'm thinking about canceling the whole trip because he is unvaccinated.
And Miami is a high.
Miami is not really the place you want to go to without having vaccine. And I know it's going to cost me money. It's going to cost me to not see my friends, but I love my boys. And so I'm thinking, ooh, you know how I get, Liz. You know how I get. And so I've already started making a calculation, and I'm trying to figure out a way to make it happen. But does it make sense to take kids who don't even qualify for the vaccine
Right.
into a hot zone, even though it's outdoors.
No, and I tell you that's something you have to definitely think about because as I look at us and particularly, your friend circle we talking about, you're the only one that had to make that choice.
Yeah.
But my wife made it for me. Real simple. She wasn't going. She didn't feel comfortable with the just the numbers in Florida and her daughter not going. So right now it's me, right? And guess what? And even if I go, I already know that I've got the quarantine when I come home. We already got policies and procedures. It's got to go
Yeah.
down.
And so, it's the beginning of school. And so I'm like, man, you know how, I mean, come on, it's Jackson State football. It's the beginning of a new era. It's the new. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
You could try the classic, the Southern Heritage Classic, the weekend after. You know,
But
Well,
Miami is a once in, we even ha- you know we even have a little business to do in Miami
right.
that I was looking for. We got another member of the family that's there, of the work family that we we haven't seen. So it's these decisions are not tough, and the frustrating part, it didn't have to be this tough
Right.
if we would have just done what we needed to do. And even now, but what's happening in Florida when you have leadership that's so adamant that rouse up a base to be as adamant, I mean the numbers are out of control. So they're
And then,
they're
I
already
mean,
back at the height of COVID numbers. They've exceeded the July numbers of last year.
all right, here's one of my medical insiders giving you Kennedy in response to your question. She says Miami, Jackson, and Memphis are all hot.
and you could put Houston, you could put Dallas, you could put all of Texas. You can add that to the list. Sadly, but you can't.
Yeah.
You can.
So that's my thinking though, Liz. I mean, I'm gonna keep it real. I mean, they too young to get the shot. And does it make sense for me as a parent to take them into that environment?
Well, I would say this for you. If I was in your situation, just me, it's just this. They know we talked about just my thoughts. That would be an easy choice for me because they don't even have any way to defend themselves.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that the game get canceled, Tiffany. What I'm saying is I may not be able to participate in live in person because of my boys. 5 and 11, they don't qualify for the vaccine. And
That
it's gonna be somebody in there eating pretzels and drinking beer that didn't get vaccinated, and they're gonna be talking real loud, and they're gonna be spreading Delta,
are we
Delta, Delta,
canceling
Delta, Delta, Delta.
school? Well, to
Canceling
answer your,
school.
no.
Well, you
Well,
know,
well,
Yazoo canceled in person just the other day, so it's bound to happen because
yeah.
it's gonna be spreading much faster.
If
Are
we
y'all
put
seeing the
masks,
high rises in the Delta variant in Mississippi as well?
Yeah, and
yeah,
it's mostly young people.
it's mostly that, and it's also mostly the unvaccinated
Yeah,
people. It's the unvaccinated, and they try to use in the news and stuff. They try to use scare tactics. Well, 125,000 people who are vaccinated tested positive for COVID, but when you do the statistics and the math, that's only 2%. So the other, 98% who are vaccinated did not test positive for COVID. But they use scare tactics like that and numbers like that to scare people, even though some people are still ignorant to the vaccine. That's just another reasoning for them. Like, well, I'm not going to get it because 125,000 people tested positive for it and they were vaccinated. That's only 2%.
First of
yeah.
all, nobody said the vaccine, and here we go again where we put these myths. Oh, vaccinations 100%. It was never 100%. But here's why I like my odds of math. Math don't ever lie. I like 95%, 90%, 93%. By the way, the flu vaccine ain't never been nowhere near that number. Um, and then even after 6 months or so, I know the efficacy, and please correct me, uh, a medical expert, and if I get this wrong, because I am not a medical professional. Let me just put that disclaimer out. But I do understand math and I understand the business side of it. And so if 90, after 6 months or so, even if the efficacy drops down to 89, 86%, I'm looking at people and they're using that. I'm like, so you mean to tell me if I got a crystal ball and I'm gonna spin this ball around, it's like me going to the casino. If I'm going to the casino and there's a raffle, and that raffle is gonna give me $1 million, and there's 100 nameplates in that raffle, and 86 of them got my name on. I'm gonna take those odds every day of the week.
Yeah, I'm feeling
That
pretty
means 86. I got 86% chance of winning. That means if I played more than two hands, I'm gonna win.
good. Right.
And it's just pure math. Whereas as opposed to a 1/14 chance.
Right. Big difference.
Big difference.
And
But
then if you do contract it and you vaccinated, your chances of survival are totally different.
Yes.
I
it's
don't get it.
okay, Miss Willie Mae. You didn't miss much. We still going at it. You didn't miss too much.
For those of you who did miss it, it'll be on replay in
Right.
just about an hour.
So as much as I do want to just say this before we end the show. Just two things I do want us to talk about. So first, I want to give highlight to Allison Felix, who today won bronze in the women's 400-meter race, and she has now the most decorated woman in Olympic track and field history, and she has a record-tying 10th Olympic medal. So I definitely want to say that. And also, you guys were talking about it earlier, so we just go ahead and jump right into it. Governor Cuomo, I want to see if that's how you say it. Cuomo?
Come on.
Okay. A staffer files criminal complaint against Governor with Albany Sheriff's Office. This happened on Thursday, and the woman, she's identified as the executive assistant #1, and she said how Cuomo invited her to his house and stuck his hand up her dress and was looking at her blouse and things of that nature. So I just want to cover that real quick before the show ends. That's at least something I did want to talk about. So those two topics.
Well, I mean, here's what I would say. Kudos to Allison Felix. Nike dropped her when she got pregnant. She came out with her own line, and she's just showing you what you do when the door is closed. Go out the window or keep moving, and another door will be open for you. As far as what Cuomo did up at Gracie Manor, he's going to be judged by probably a jury of his peers at this point. So, it's sickening, and he's running the Trump playbook to just deny, but that's no good.
And she's one of 11, so it's a lot. It's other sexual assault cases as well.
Whether it was only 1 or 11,
right?
If you did it, go ahead and take ownership of that and get out of the way, because you're setting a bad example. It doesn't matter about political party. It matters about respecting a woman's right to protect her body. You can't just go around sticking your hand up people's. Come on, man.
And he's in a way, like, before all this happened, of course it's politics and good publicity. But before, they show clips of him speaking on the Women's March movement and things of that nature, and it's sad, really.
Yeah, do as I say, not as I do. You can't do that.
Let me jump in and add one thing to that. Let me be clear. One thing I love about this show, we're just gonna call a spade a spade. And Charles said one thing: regardless of what your party is wrong and right is right. I mean, and I don't care if it's a half of one. That's not the right thing to do. You don't get a right to do that and to harass. And here's the thing, man. I think, like Charles said, I wish, in hindsight, that he would have just resigned, ridden off into the sunset. Probably been much easier for him, but to stay and then be adamant. I mean, so when you play and double down like that, you better be able to prove you right.
Better be able to prove it. That is very true. And I do want to. This was another question that I did want to ask. Hold up. We do have a question in the audience. She said, "What happened to innocent until proven guilty?"
Nothing happened to it. That's why I started with he'll be judged by a jury of his peers.
Yeah.
It's not for me to judge him. I'm just giving you my sense of right and wrong. As a defense attorney, of course, I'm going to advocate for him to have his day in court if that's what he so desires. But if he knows that he did and he's just staying there, I mean, here's one of the problems that I have. He's the man that wrote the book on defeating COVID.
Yes.
That didn't work. It didn't work.
It didn't. It
And
didn't.
he didn't actually write the book. He had the staffers doing it. So there's a lot to be desired there.
Yeah.
But I do like how New York is making it mandatory for people to get vaccines. Sorry. But go ahead, Mr. P.
Yes.
No, and that's a good point. And like I said, I'm not saying he's guilty. And I wasn't there. I can't say that. But I'm just saying, either way, however you deal with it, you know, whether you're innocent, guilty, whether you resign and kind of pull away to deal with it. But, and by the same token, I say, if you make a choice to do that and they're adamant, then you it's one thing to be right and know you're right. But as I have learned, you got to be able to prove you're right. And that's the caveat. I could be right all day long, but if I can't prove I'm right, I'm still not going to win. Because now, because it's public, it's a court of public opinion involved, and you have to be able to prove you're right.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Because Tiffany is 100% right. From a legal perspective, that's for a jury of his peers to determine whether or not the state proved their case. What I'm talking about is the politics of it.
Yep.
All right.
Different things, but good to make that distinction.
So, Kennedy, I'm gonna put you on the spot now, because I hadn't heard, and I hadn't been a student at an undergrad in a long, long time, even though I just look like I'm 20. Okay, well maybe 30. Well, I'm gonna tell myself that I just look like a mature 30, right, Kennedy? A mature 30.
Mature 30. Mature 30.
There you go. I take it.
Bro.
As far as going back on campus, have you guys been just kind of, what is your thoughts? Because we hadn't talked about it as a student. As you head back on campus and you come back to school, is there anything you're doing different or additional to prepare mentally and physically for the next year?
Mentally, I'm really like trying to mentally prepare myself that I'm going back to classes. So I have to get up out the bed and get up and get ready. So I'm excited, but at the same time, I mentally have to tell myself, okay, get up now, you have classes. Like emotionally, I guess, or physically, it's just I have mixed feelings because I have to realize that, granted, I did my part. I know a lot of people are not going to do the same when it comes to getting back on campus. And not only that, we are going to school. And like she said, Jackson is a hot area. And a lot of people are getting the vaccine. A lot of people are not, and they have their reasons. So I guess mine is just a safety issue, not only for me, but for my teachers as well and my professors. Because it's just, I need a close to normal year of school. I have not received that yet. I'm going into my junior year where a lot of my classes, this is where I'm getting to my major. After this, I needed to decide what I'm going to do in my life. Okay. So I need this year. Like I need it to go right. But, I know for the school, you have to, they're doing, like I said in the past shows, they're doing a housing incentive, $1,000 off your housing if you got the vaccination. You have to upload your vaccination or records. If you don't have any vaccination records with either three of the vaccinations, then you have to upload a negative COVID test in order to move in. The two people that do help you move in, they have to be cleared by the health center. So it's either, if you have a vaccination or you have to still take the COVID test. They're still making it mandatory for all students and teachers, whether you're vaccinated or not, to wear a mask in all areas. They've even renovated the McAllister. And if anybody been in McAllister, they know McAllister was in the trenches, especially in my freshman year. But they renovated it to where now instead of having curtains, they have doors for the showers. On top of that is more separation, really. So, of course, you can't block a virus, but it's better safety precautions and things of that nature. When it comes to the bathrooms, they renovated the sinks, a lot of things, just making sure that it's just a safer place, trying to make sure people are comfortable during these times, because McAllister is a community style bathroom for people who don't know. So, and that's really it right now that I can say. It's just we can only do so much.
Kennedy, I know because we actually stayed in McAllister one semester, and so yeah.
Really?
Look at her face.
Look it up. I knew that was gonna
Look at her face. You gotta look. We are from the time when we stayed in McAllister for summer school.
Yep.
Come on.
It was all boy. It was all guys. Yeah.
Wow.
She's like, what?
Yeah. They were renovating Dixon Hall.
Yeah.
Well, they just finished Stewart Hall now, so hopefully they're going to make that the honors college. I want to say for women, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it's just for females. So they renovated that. It's completely done. They're also doing more renovations. So, hopefully, I don't know. I really do pray that people are being safe really initially, and even if you are around people who are not wearing, didn't get vaccinated, because you can't. Even we learned from last year, and I feel like administration learned as well. You can only tell your students so much. You can't control them. We're also a public university. Not only that, people gonna do what they want to do off campus. So all you can do is hope and pray that people play their part.
At least hopefully they get vaccinated so they can at least control it and control it.
And if you are watching and you're in Mississippi, JSU is offering vaccinations every Tuesdays and Thursdays on campus.
And that's open to the community?
It's well, I want to say, it's just open for it's open for the community. They've been doing it since like the end of the spring semester, but I'm just letting people know, like, if they don't know now, go ahead and sign up. I think you have to go to the health center page, or you just have to call the health center on campus. But really, I think you could go up it's in the AC, but they are offering vaccines.
I think First Lady Biden actually toured the facility.
Yep, she was there. She toured the facility and she took a picture with the president and some students. But yep.
Do we have any comments that we haven't addressed?
I don't think.
I think we got them all. The other one was when you were making a reference about the Orange Blossom Classic. Tiffany just kind of said, "Are we canceling school then too?" Because the same phenomenon, and that's the difference. We can cancel a game or we cannot go to a game, but school is a requirement. What I'm seeing out here in Texas, for example, with our governor, school is still required, but they're not even offering the virtual option anymore. So now you have to send my child back, but yet you're not going to protect them. And my thing on that, I'm obligated and legally held to send them. You have an obligation to protect them. You need to do your part.
Yeah, that's all fine and dandy until somebody comes up there without a fever and infects 50 people in one day.
Right.
I did not know that. That's crazy that he's not offering. But I'm not surprised. But anyways, how do you guys want to end the show out today? Any last final remarks?
We kick it to Dr. Irvin to close it out and send the charge. Wait a minute. Willie Mae said, if this Delta virus is worse than the first, mask up and get vaccinated. Amen to that.
We can end on that. I mean, we've what's happening with Columbia High? Wait a minute, I'll get ready to end, but what's happening with Columbia High?
I think she made that comment after what Mr. Peter said. That might be the same reason when it comes to schools. Joanna, if you want to comment.
Yeah, let us know what's happening in hometown. What's happening in Columbia High? Yeah, you can't just throw Columbia up there and not tell
right.
What's going on.
I was getting ready to shut it down, but this is back open again. I got to know what's going on. What's the 411 on Columbia High?
That's where it all started, and that's where the origin point is. So I got to know.
Yeah. Joanna, I hope you still here. Oh, over half the school is out with COVID.
Yeah.
And school just started, I guess, apparently. Probably this week.
They could have only been in school a week. No more than 2.
We have people, I'm not saying it's a scary, I'm not trying to, I don't know, how am I trying to work this? What I'm trying to say is, this is only coming from a high school. And I know we have a lot of students. I know a lot of students that are from Columbia, Mississippi. So what I'm trying to say is, it's just, when you put it into perspective, please vaccinate it. That's all I can say. School started July 28th. Wow.
That's right, because Columbia moved to the new system now where they go to school 9 weeks, get 2 weeks off. 9 weeks, 2 weeks off. That's right. They're on that new schedule. So and July 28th. Wait a minute. That was only last week?
Yeah.
Last week.
It was like last week, 2 weeks ago. But yeah, it was. It's only August 6th. It's only August 6th. That's
That was
sad
last,
to
yeah,
hear.
that was last Wednesday.
Yeah, that's really sad to hear. I don't know if you're in school right now, Jonah, or if you're a teacher, but please stay safe. Please stay
Wow.
safe.
Wow. Be safe. Be safe. In Columbia, be safe everywhere. I don't know. I don't have the answers, but I do know this. If you do your part, we can be in a better situation. So if you haven't been vaccinated, get vaccinated. If you're not going to get vaccinated, wear a mask, social distance. Do that part. Do that part. So you got a choice. Do one or the other, or do both, but at least do one.
Yeah, you got to.
Right? So you got choices, and that's the thing. You have a choice, and you can be in this game with us and make a choice to be safe. But you got to do one. You got to do one.
Yeah.
All right. For me, I'm gonna do all of the above.
JoJo went to school with us. She just aging better than all of us.
What'd you say?
Well, he said that Jonah went to school with her. I mean, with him. Sorry.
Well, yeah, she did, but now, like I told you, I'm a mature 30 looking, so I don't know what he talking about.
Add another zero, player.
I'm with Jay. I'm
300. Kennedy, that's what 300 years old looks like.
I'm not owning that. Kennedy said I'm a mature 30, and I'm gonna take it.
Kennedy works for you. You putting pressure on her. She has to say that.
She said, yes, indeed. I look young for my age. That's good. But I do want to say thank you for your service, Joanna. Thank you a lot. I do want to say that. Please stay safe.
You're supposed to help me out. You're supposed to jump in there and say, yeah, homeboy, you look good. You didn't do that, though. You left me just hanging out there.
No.
I see.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that slogan.
Stop dyeing your beard.
I have That's another show and another day, but I have not.
Yeah.
In my Bill Clinton voice, I did not dye my beard.
Well, he was lying when he said that. Oh boy.
Kenny, I think you need to take us out.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Y'all have a good weekend. Stay safe, stay masked up, and get the vaccine. Bye.